I'm Jim Jonas, the owner of Goat Milk Stuff here.
Oh, thank you
just wanted
so
to introduce
much.
myself.
Thanks for letting us use this space. We really appreciate
Well,
it.
this is not my
public.
space. This is
Great song.
Okay.
but I appreciate you guys all coming out today.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that
Trey isn't
Trey didn't make it, and we were surprised
do you
as
know
anybody.
anything about that?
I don't. I got the note I got the word last night that it was canceled, and we were kind of like, what?
Yeah.
So the event was a town hall meeting with the U.S. Congressman Trey Hollingsworth, and unfortunately it was canceled as of last night.
And this was a chamber event?
It was sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce, yeah.
Okay.
My name is Liz Watson, and I'm running for Congress here in the 9th District. I'm running to unseat Representative Trey Hollingsworth. Unlike Representative Trey Hollingsworth, I am a fifth-generation Hoosier. So we're here today because we were told that Representative Trey Hollingsworth was going to be here for a meeting on tax reform, sponsored, as you just heard, by the local Chamber of Commerce. But he's not coming. He canceled at the last minute. Well, we still showed up. We showed up because we're terribly concerned about the impact of this devastating tax scam legislation on Hoosier families. And we showed up to make our voices heard. We showed up to let Representative Trey Hollingsworth know what we think about this terrible bill, but that turned out to be a pretty tall order. See, at first this meeting was scheduled for 7:15 a.m. I'm sorry, first it was scheduled for 8 a.m. and then it was moved to 7:15 a.m. And then it turned out that RSVPs were to a Koch brothers representative, and if you didn't have yours in by Friday, you couldn't come. Yet it was billed as a town hall. My idea of a town hall, and I think what all of us think a town hall is an opportunity for the public to come in and engage with their representative. I think we deserve that.
Yes.
And that's why today I'm announcing that I'm going to be holding a town hall. If your representative won't show up and meet with you, I will. I will show up. So we're going to be holding a town hall January 15th. Do I have that right, Brian?
January 11th.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've been up since 5 a.m., maybe 4. January 11th, and that is going to be at 6 p.m. We will announce the location, and we will put it up everywhere, and everyone is welcome to attend. And we will discuss this terrible tax reform bill with you, and we can all try to work through this together. I was taught growing up right here in the 9th District by my dad that the thing that's most important in life is showing up. And so that is why we are here today. That's why residents of the 9th District from all across the district woke up in their, at 4 a.m. in their houses and got themselves out here to Scottsburg, to Scott County, outside of Goat Milk Stuff to make their voices heard. And I'm so glad that they did. Today we were planning to deliver a petition to Trey Hollingsworth. We have hundreds of signatures from all across the district that we collected over the course of 2 days. We have them from all 13 counties in the district. We have them from Scott County. We have them from Monroe County. We have them from Lawrence County. We have them from Floyd County. We have them from Clark County and every county in between. And we would like to be able to deliver those petitions to Representative Trey Hollingsworth. But since he's not here, Representative Hollingsworth, I'll be stopping by your office to deliver those petitions to you. So, this so-called tax reform bill, it picks our children's pockets clean, all to line the pockets of the wealthiest Americans. That's wrong. Republicans in Congress are perfectly happy to mortgage our future and drive us further into debt just to keep their corporate donors happy. That is wrong. This bill slashes the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21%. That's the single largest reduction in the corporate tax rate in the United States history. The worn out logic here is that slashing corporate taxes will somehow trickle down to a raise for workers. Well, if that was going to happen, it already would have happened. Corporate profits are at an all-time high, yet working people's wages are stagnant. Hoosiers haven't gotten a raise in a very long time. It just doesn't add up. This bill also gives new benefits to owners of so-called pass-through companies and offshore real estate interests. Who here has a pass-through company or an offshore real estate interest? Do you have one? Do you have one? I know I sure don't have one, but you know who does?
Yeah.
Donald Trump has one. And Representative Hollingsworth also benefits from this provision. If you're wondering just kind of what kind of person benefits from this tax scam legislation, it's a person, a very, very rich person like Representative Trey Hollingsworth. Not us, not ordinary Hoosiers. We don't benefit at all. I was brought up to believe that democracy is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But the Republicans are giving us a tax bill that is of the rich, by the rich, and for the very, very, very rich. This is an outrage. The tax bill increases the federal deficit by $1.5 trillion over the next 10 years. That is a big debt for us to cover so that the rich can just get even richer. It makes graduate school unaffordable for all but the super rich by taxing graduate students' tuition waivers. And before the ink is even dry on this terrible bill, they have announced their intention to come after Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. These are benefits that our families earned. They're benefits that we paid for. And there is simply no excuse for trying to take them away. Under this tax legislation, nearly 30,000 fewer people in the 9th District alone will have health insurance coverage by 2025. 13 million Americans overall will not have coverage. That includes thousands of people who are not going to have Medicaid coverage here in Indiana. And right here in Scott County, you probably know that there was a terrible, terrible opioid epidemic, as we have all across the 9th District. And it's Medicaid that pays for treatment for that. And now they're threatening to take it away with this terrible tax scam. And instead of making the investments in our infrastructure and in our schools, in making childcare and health insurance more affordable, instead of supporting funding for workforce training for the jobs of the future, this legislation, it rips off ordinary Americans, and they know it. That's why they're scrambling under cover of darkness to produce a law that hardly anyone has had a chance to read. That's why, well, they promised to simplify things for us. They've produced a law that's 1,100 pages long with illegible scribbles in the margins from K Street lobbyists. 1,100 pages. This tax law stinks. You know it. I know it.
Yes.
And we've had just about enough of this. And that's why I'm running for Congress. My name is Liz Watson. I'm running for Congress for you. And with your support, we can send Tennessee Trey back to Tennessee and get Congress working for us again. Thank you. Okay, so now we have some Hoosiers who are going to tell you exactly what they think about this terrible tax bill, and we're going to start with Denny Wilson, who is the Scott County Democratic Party Chair. So welcome, Denny.
Thank you, Liz.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Liz. Just like Liz says, you know, you learn to show up for work. If you don't show up, you don't get paid. And Trey didn't show up, but I guess he'll go ahead and get paid today. So, you know, we're here to just let people know that we are dissatisfied with the current tax bill the way it stands. It favors large corporations way too much. The smaller corporations need help. The mom and pop businesses need help, but there's not enough of that in there, and too much for the Koch brothers and that type of corporations. I'm a firm believer that just because a corporation has extra money, they're not going to hire people. Consumption creates jobs, not money in the bank. And I just hope that I don't have much faith in our Congress doing anything, but I'm hoping that the Senate will take actions and prevent this bill from becoming law.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Denny. And next we have Chuck Sebastian, who's the former Scott County Democratic Party Chair. Welcome, Chuck.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chuck Sebastian. I run a small business in Scottsburg. It's a little barber shop. I retired from the post office at 57 years old, and I thought I could work another 10 or 15 years and draw Social Security. I've always tried to work hard and play by the rules. My mother taught me that at a very young age. Do what's right and it'll pay off. My wife and I both work, and we struggle like most people. We pay our bills and work every day. We believed that we would have Social Security and Medicare when we retired. You know, something is bad wrong when the president can stand up in these debates and say that because he doesn't pay taxes, that makes him smart. Well, I guess that makes me dumb for trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And I just don't agree with that. This tax bill helps the people who need it the least. When these politicians take large donations from rich people and rich corporations and stick it to us who are really working, who are they really working for? They're not working for you and me, they're working for those people. We need someone in Congress who will work for us and pass bills that will help the middle class and not expect us to carry the burden on our backs. The reason bills like this pass is that we don't hold them accountable on Election Day. Let Mr. Hollingsworth know that we will hold him accountable on Election Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chuck. Great job.
And next we have Barbara Burton.
Thank you. My name is Barbara Burton. I'm a native of Mitchell. I live in Bloomington now. I'm 62 years old, and I'm a cancer survivor. In 10 years' time, when this bill takes full effect, where will I be? My taxes will be raised. My Social Security may or may not be here. My Medicare will certainly be cut. I also work in an inpatient oncology unit, where I've treated hundreds of cancer patients, supporting them physically and emotionally. We all know someone like that. My point in being here is to urge everyone to call their senators today and make sure that this doesn't get passed. Because where will you be in 10 years? My father always taught me to look down the road. I'm asking everyone to do that today.
Thank you, Barbara. And next we have Dylan Baker, who is the president of the Scott County Democrats Club.
As Liz stated, I am Dylan Baker, and I am the current president of the Scott County Democrats Club, and I have prepared a few remarks. I am not a political activist, but I am, however, a high school student. I hope to graduate from high school, go to college, and have a great career. I hope to make a future for myself, and I expect nothing more than an even chance. The Republican tax cut is an 1,100-page law. Now, I'm not an economist. I don't understand the complexities of tax law, but I do understand this. The tax cut will add an additional $1.5 trillion to the federal deficit over the next 10 years. Almost all of that deficit will go to pay for tax cuts for large corporations and those at the top. I will derive no benefit from that deficit, but me and my generation will pay for it. We will pay for it in two ways. First, the Republicans will cut programs that my generation needs in order to reach our potential. Some of these programs include affordable health care, support for public education, including higher education, and debt relief for college students, investments in the technologies of the futures, and in the roads, bridges, and electrical grids that we all rely on. Second, the public debt will weigh on all of us. We will have to pay it. I do not understand economic theory, but I do understand that if my parents were to borrow lots of money now so that they could go on a lavish vacation, and they were to promise that our family will pay back the money 30 years from now by ways of me and my siblings, no one here would say that was right. It would be wrong for parents to leave their children with that kind of debt. And yet the Republicans are doing just that to my generation. They're giving a gigantic tax cut to the very rich and borrowing against my future to do it. That is wrong. And while I have not even graduated from high school, I have learned enough to know that. Me, my friends, and my generation, we simply want the chance to make a future for ourselves. We want our government now to provide us with the policies and basic opportunities to make the very best out of our own lives. We do not want to be responsible tomorrow for paying for the rich people's tax cuts today. And that is why I oppose this tax cut and why I support Liz Watson for Congress.
Wow! Good job.
Thank you, Dylan. And next we have Linda Green.
Hi, I'm Linda Green, and I'm from Bloomington. I retired 2 years ago after 26 years of teaching high school English and theater. I have a master's degree in my area. I've won national awards for curriculum writing. I directed 27 plays in 10 years, and I taught and impacted the lives of close to 4,000 students. However, in the last 8 years of my career, my salary stagnated, and for the last 4, it actually decreased due to a lack of funds coming into the school district that might pay for teacher raises. What most people don't understand about educators, however, is that even though we do what we do because we are called to be teachers, we know that a calling isn't enough. Good teaching demands constant study and training far beyond what is provided by the school system. I regularly spent several $100s every year purchasing current and relevant literature to enhance the materials I taught. I subscribed to journals and took courses in up-to-the-minute educational practices. I stayed late and went in early to receive training in district policies and regulations, none of which was reimbursed or matched with comp time or extra pay. Indeed, it is expected that teachers will pay out of pocket for anything extra that they see their students need. Besides that extra training that teaching demands, in any given year, I easily spent close to $500 on just the basics. Pencils, pens, paper, a printer when the one in my classroom broke and the school couldn't afford to replace it, notebooks for students who couldn't afford them, Kleenex and hand sanitizer for colds and flu seasons, pencil sharpeners, markers, posters, food for hungry students, clothing for students who had only one outfit to wear, extra reading materials, videos, audio recordings, classroom magazine subscriptions, a heater for my cold classroom, blinds for my windows, and the list goes on and on. And so this minuscule $250 tax deduction is a drop in the bucket to our nation's economy. Those in the top 1% and the multi-billion-dollar industrial giants will not feel this tiny gift to educators, but we will. It is one small reward that makes the extras we provide for our students worth the investment we make. Hearing from students that I did have a positive impact on them is certainly heartwarming. But the reality is that it does not put food on my table, pay for my medications, or cover my house payment. Please vote to keep the $250 teacher deduction. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. And now we have Roger Pedigo and Jennifer Smith Pedigo, who will come up together.
Good morning. My name is Roger Pedigo. I've worked in construction for 22 years. I'm from Memphis, Indiana. I've worked in construction for 22 years, road construction, building the highways and the roads and the bridges that every one of us cross across every day, even you, Trey. This tax bill is going to give money to the very rich. The tax bill is going to dig $1 trillion into the debt, and the very moment we need to be investing in our roads and in our bridges. It's wrong and it's crazy. When Donald Trump was on the campaign trail, he promised that he would if he were elected, he would spend $1 trillion on fixing the nation's crumbling roads and infrastructure. But Richard Trumka has already been one of the companies that has decided to leave his big business meeting and not join with him. So that's not going to happen. What we need is congressional Democrats and their plan that outlines a $1 trillion plan to revamp our nation's airports, bridges, and roads, and seaports, which they say could create 15 million jobs over 10 years. These are things that affect all of us, affect us all when we get out in our commute and when we're traveling. This is something that can help, and it promotes businesses to come to the area. This is something that needs to be done. Instead of giving this tax cut to the wealthy, invest in the people. Invest in the people. These people here. And one more thing, when I bumped into you, Trey Hollingsworth, in the library, and you said that you preferred smaller groups of 8 to 10 people, well, and that not that many people were interested in politics, we're here. There's some right here. We've got some right here that are interested.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Smith Pedigo, and I'm helping my 2 daughters pay for college. As you know, college has become totally unaffordable for all but the richest Americans. Even with my help, both of my daughters have school loans they will likely be repaying when they are my age. These loans, which will total probably $100,000 when it's all said and done, will make it extremely difficult for them to buy a car, a house, or even save for retirement. Instead of solving that problem, this bill makes it much worse. It taxes tuition waivers for graduate students. Congress should be making federal investments that make college more affordable and not less. Things like expanding summer and year-round Pell Grant programs for our students. Instead of investing in our young people, this bill mortgages their future, all to give a giant tax cut to the wealthy corporations and the 1%. My daughters are trying to get through school and get an education so they can join the workforce and be a part of the economic engine of our economy. Our tax system are to encourage students to do exactly that, but this bill makes it much harder for students to get the education they need and deserve and worked hard for. It's unfair to my kids, and it's unfair to yours.
Yes.
Yes. And next we have Rob Ingersoll.
Hi, my name is Rob Stewart Ingersoll, and I'm a political scientist and international relations scholar. I've taught at a number of institutions of higher education in the U.S. and the Middle East, and have helped to develop leadership and thinking on national security strategy with the U.S. Air Force and some of our strategic partners in the UAE. When my family's situation in the UAE became untenable, we returned to the United States. Like many, though, in academia, particularly the arts, humanities, and social sciences, we've fallen victim to the fact that there are far too few professorships left in America. There are various reasons for this, but the assault on higher education, intellectuals, science-based and evidence-based research and policymaking, and indeed foundational ideas about fact and truth by your party and administration plays a significant role. To illustrate, our Center for Disease Control and Prevention is no longer allowed to use two words that I just did. Our CDC. Can you fathom the irresponsibility of that? Of course you can. Because instead of being visible and available to all of your constituents in Indiana, you are supporting what has become a democratic crisis. One that has placed the Republic itself at grave risk. What do I mean by this, and what does it have to do with this atrocious tax bill? Let me tell you. By democratic crisis, I mean that our government, your political party, and one for which I have voted on various occasions in my lifetime, is directly assaulting the political norms and institutions that form the connective tissue that makes our democracy function and upon which its survival depends. Without the common acceptance of these norms and institutions, public trust and social bonds break, and democracies fail. I know this because this is what I have spent my life studying and teaching about. This is the height of negligence. Why do you support this? You support this because it is the political price that you have determined you are willing to pay to ram through a horrendous tax reform that we are focused on today. Indeed, the tax bill is a fine illustration of the narrow interests that the policies you support represent and which your wealthy family directly benefits from, while distracting the majority of your supporters through appeals to popular grievances and tribal inclinations. You and your party have combined dangerous rhetoric with stunningly dishonest claims to gin up support for a policy platform that does not benefit most of those who support you. You have even timed the effects of this tax bill such that the pain that the rest of us, other than people like yourself, suffer from it are deferred so as not to be held accountable. It's shameful. But as one of my friends this morning has already said, democracy does have accountability built into it, and we're here to hold you accountable, and we welcome you to join us in that discussion at some point in the future.
Thank you, Rob. All right. Thank you for showing up to fight for our democracy to the folks here today, and we look forward to having this conversation with Representative Hollingsworth one day. Next, we're going to have Marilyn Anderson.
Hi, I don't have a list of wonderful degrees to count for you. I was a music teacher when I grew up. My name is Marilyn Anderson. I'm from Bedford, Indiana, and I'm 75 years old, and I don't like to get up this hour early in the morning, stand here and freeze to death, and find out that the man I came to talk to didn't show up. I'm talking for several people that I talked to last night. I found out about this meeting yesterday at 4 o'clock. I called everybody I know, and they all said, "Go down there and give them hell." And I said, "Well, I don't know if I can do that. Wouldn't you like to go along?" And they said, "Well, maybe not at this late stage." And also, I told them that democracy is not a spectator sport. But here I am, and I want to speak too for people like my brother, who was a Vietnam vet and who is now suffering for it and has almost no money, and I feel very sorry for him, and I see that this bill is going to make a bigger difference between the poor and the rich. Thank you very much.
Yes. Good job. Thank you, Marilyn. All right, and next we have Jared Stancombe. Jared?
Sorry. Hi, my name's Jared Stancombe, and I'm from Lawrence County. And I just came here to talk to Trey about some of the stuff that's been happening in Bedford regarding the opioid epidemic. He's not here right now. I woke up at 4:45 in the morning to talk to him. He didn't even bother to show up. So this is an issue that in Lawrence County that we're all passionate about. We've seen families being devastated. We've seen just tragedy happen daily in Lawrence County. We're here in Scott County right now, and this is where the opioid epidemic really started to take its grip with the HIV epidemic. So right here in Scott County is home to the worst HIV outbreak, I think one of the worst HIV outbreaks in U.S. history because of the opioid epidemic. And I'm worried that the HIV epidemic is going to happen in Lawrence County too, and young people like me, we're just going to leave. And the economy is going to suffer for it. So, Trey, I've been working with treatment centers, I've been working with churches, I've been working with elected officials, I've worked with some commissioners, I've worked with some mayors, and I've tried to contact your office twice over the past few months just to ask for a general statement on the opioid epidemic. And I don't think you've not even bothered to contact anyone here in Lawrence County regarding the opioid epidemic. And I mean, it's just frustrating. We're trying to work with you. We're trying to reach out to you, and there's no answer. We're trying to get stuff going. We're trying to. We want to see legislation passed that will help save lives, and you're nowhere to be found. So where are you, Trey? You're not here. You're not here with us now. You know, where are you? We want to talk to you. We have people dying in our hospitals, in their homes, and we're scared of what's going to happen. And you're nowhere to be found. Where's your leadership in this? We want to see you. Just show up. We're here. Where are you? Thank you.
He's in Tennessee.
And next we have Jim Boswell. Jim?
Thank you, and thank you all for coming to the greatest place on earth, Scott County. I am extremely proud to be a Democrat and to be from Scott County. The Democrats support everyone, not just the 1% at the top, folks. We support everyone. And Jared, your comments about the opioid epidemic, the tax plan wants to. It's wealth care for health care, and we're taking away from the opioid epidemic all the other programs that we support. Every single every single person, I read this statistic, every single person is affected by the opioid epidemic. Each one of us have someone in our family. Every one of us knows someone that's affected by that. Folks, we cannot support this. It's everything we go against. There are 3 classes that are paying for this tax break. The rich get richer, the middle class pay for it, the lower class is oppressed and worse off, and our kids pay for it. Thank you.
And next we have Amy McKees Clendenning and Matilda Clendenning.
My name is Amy McKees and I'm from Bloomington. This is my daughter Matilda. I'm a mental health care provider and I'm very concerned about 13 million people losing their health care coverage.
Perfect. To the point. Thank you, Amy. And next we have Frank Riley.
Hi, I'm Frank Riley. I'm from Floyd's Knobs, Indiana. I have to say that I think the tax bill is an abomination. But the worst part about tax reform isn't really the tax reform, it's what comes next. It's the excuse that tax reform will give the Republicans to cut funding for Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. It will be the failure to invest in education, health care, and infrastructure that will create good jobs for the middle class now and in the future. The Republicans have stacked the economy in favor of the wealthy, and they're not giving the middle class a fair shake. Thanks.
And next we have the Mayor, Dillo Bush, Mayor of Austin.
I probably should have yielded to Dylan Beckery's grandson. I'm freezing to death, but none of us should be surprised by this. The tax bill was predictable. That's who they are.
Yeah.
They have never considered the middle class nor the working poor. They never will. We deal every day with the opioid crisis. We have HIV, we have hepatitis C, all those things that we're dealing with that we really depend totally on outside agencies. I don't know how long this is going to be funded, but this disease is going to last forever. We need to focus our attention on those people that pay the freight. And that's the people that are here today, the people that get up every morning, go to work, pay the bills, take care of family. Here in Scott County, I've been blessed to be elected 4 times. I'm 3-time clerk treasurer in Austin and now the mayor. And every day is a challenge. But we can accept that challenge. We can pray for help, hope for help, but don't count on it. Because the present administration is not there to help us. So I'm here to support the Democrats. Lifetime Democrat, always have been, always will be. And whoever the successful candidate is in our primary, obviously I live in a different district, but I'm affected by the entire electorate. So I'm rooting for a win, obviously, in November of next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, is there anybody who wants to have 1 minute who we didn't get? Okay, this is Tim Decker. 1 minute from Tim.
I'm Tim Decker. I'm from Seymour, Indiana, and I would just like to call on Trey and President Trump and the members of the Senate and Congress to respect us and to be honest about what this is. This is a windfall for the wealthy, and don't think we're stupid that we don't know this. I'd have more respect for if you came out and you said we're lining our own pockets rather than try to sell us a dirty bill of goods. Thank you.
All right, so Representative Trey Hollingsworth, you want to know what Hoosiers think about this tax bill. You just heard what Hoosiers think. You heard from mental health professionals. You heard from retirees. You heard from manufacturers. You heard from construction workers. You heard from teachers. This is what Hoosiers think about this tax bill. We think it stinks. So we want to be very clear with you that we are going to keep showing up. We are going to keep making our voices heard, and we would like for you to show up too. I am going to be showing up, as I said, on January 11th at 6 p.m. Just set, and it's not in my calendar yet, but it will be on the Facebook page, Liz for Indiana, January 11th at 6 p.m. I'll be holding a town hall, and we'll announce the location, and everyone in the 9th District is invited. Let's discuss this terrible tax reform legislation. We have to tell you, this is an attack on working class and middle class people, all to give a huge tax break to the 1% and giant corporations. And we know what's coming next. They've already said what's coming next. They're coming for Medicare, they're coming for Social Security, they're coming for Medicaid. The things that we paid into and that the programs that we rely on, that my family relies on, and I know yours does too. That is so wrong, and we are going to fight back against it. There are things that we need to invest in. We need to invest. You heard it from Roger. We need to invest in our roads, in our bridges, in our highways. You heard it from Amy. We need to invest in health care coverage. We need to have those 13 million Americans covered. You heard it from Linda. We need to invest in our students and in our schools. These are the things we need to do. You heard it from Jennifer. We need to make college affordable, not less. We need to make sure that childcare is affordable too. These are things that we can do, but we have to have the right values. And that's why, Representative Trey Hollingsworth, I'm running to repeal and replace you in November. Yes. Thank you very much. Let's flip the 9th, everybody.